Hey guys, how you doing? It's Henry at Mowers and Blows. I'm back. As you guys know, I had a day off yesterday. It was my daughter's birthday, so we went to my friend Andy from Jericho's house to celebrate a little bit. They're still celebrating today, you know. He just dropped off his daughters, and they're going to head over to the city. I'm definitely not going to the city. Driving to the city is like raising your agita level, you know what I mean? You get high blood pressure even with the traffic from the COVID now. It's almost back to normal. Like a month ago in the city, Times Square area, it was like a ghost town. Now it's back to normal again. Traffic up the yazoo. Anyway, so I have got no more tractors to fix. Other than my Rodimus Prime, I do need to remove the deck on that, get that thing started. It hasn't moved in over a year. It's been parked in my backyard. The Rodimus Prime is my four-wheel steering MTD. I've never owned a four-wheel steering tractor before, and honestly, you don't see too many four-wheel steering tractors out there other than like the new John Deere's or something, you know? So that's one of the reasons why I kept it, is because four-wheel steering. There's nothing like it, you know, honestly. It's very, very cool. Anyway, that thing needs new blades, and a subscriber had sent me brand new blades before, and I need to put them on just to see if the deck continues to vibrate. But today, I gotta get all this stuff out of my garage, you know. As you recall, the three Kohler Courage blown engines that I made into one that I used to put into the Desert Sand Humvee, right? I actually had enough parts to put another engine together, with the exception of a rod. So I have the one the one push rod that I have in here, right? And then I was missing another one, so I ordered another one from eBay, as you know. And apparently the Kohler ones, right? The Kohler Courages, they're both aluminum. It should have a metal one, a steel connecting rod for the intake. I'm sorry, for the exhaust, because it's so hot, and aluminum could break in very high temperatures. You know, it's lightweight and everything, but anyway, so that's how the Kohler Courages are. They don't have the steel ones. They're both aluminum. So I got this one in the mail. They're identical.
Identical.
Putting in the rods are very easy to do. I'll have to verify whether or not this is actually touching the thing. It has to be touching the thing because the Kohler Courage it's just this lever-looking tappet, you know. The one thing I am kind of concerned about is that there were two types of plastic cams for the Kohler Courage with the twin cam system. The cams on these, some were very thick, like long. And this is not that one. I used those for the Desert Sand Humvee. This one's a little bit thinner. And I noticed that when I removed these from that engine, right, it didn't have the compression release, you know. So this is actually not going to have a compression release. I mean, I don't know how that's going to work out, but either way, the exhaust cam is on the right side. The intake one is on the left side. It says here, IN, intake. The dot is here, and it's matched up with the crankshaft dot there. Timing marks for this one is matched up with the exhaust dot right there. This is all ready to go, okay? All I need to do is put a thin layer of RTV silicone around here, right? I've got the synchro balancer here worked out. I've got assembly lube on all the joints and all the seams, right? So even though I do have compression release from the other two, it doesn't have the spring, and it doesn't fit because the hole is too big. So I don't think this cam is designed to have a compression release, you know. Whatever. But I also noticed that on the ones with the compression release, there's a washer that goes right here. But since this does not have the compression release, I guess I'm not going to put the washer on. And I'm also not going to put the washer on because guess what? That's right, I don't have the washer. So I'm just going to put this on as it is, give her a try. As you also know, one of the main problems with the Kohler Courages, right, is that why they blow so much, one of the reasons is that the sump cover is on the top as opposed to the bottom. So theoretically, if you wanted to get into this engine, you don't even have to take the engine off the tractor to do it. You can just take the top cover off, the flywheel top cover off, and you can get access to the engine with the engine still bolted onto the tractor. So I'm just going to shove this in there, and usually with my hands I could... I also verified there are no caps for this. So I was worried that that I needed caps for the tops of the valve, but you don't. So I'm just going to use my thumb, push that in. There we go. See? And then I'm going to do the same thing with this one here. There we go. Wait a minute. Do I even... I need to get a flashlight, fellers. So I've verified that the connecting rod is touching the tappet on that side, and it's touching on this side, and it has to touch because there's nowhere else for it to go. That's the only thing that's in place of that. So the tappet is different than a conventional single overhead valve tappet. It doesn't look like it doesn't look like this, you know, like a single overhead one. Rather, it looks like I just had one, man. Where is it? The tappet for the Kohler Courages look like this. It's like a lever, you know, and so the rod hits this thing, touches the cam. That's the twin cam system, so the tappet's going to look like this instead of that. Just a little bit of informaciones. So I also, while I'm trying to put this push rod in, right, I had a subscriber, I think maybe French or French-Canadian or something, told me that je mal à la tête is actually the wrong way to say it. It's actually j'ai mal à la tête, meaning I have a headache, not I am a headache, you know? Actually, if it was I am, it would be je suis mal à la tête. I am a headache. But I just used it wrong because, you know, I only took 4 years of French in high school. And then when I worked for the airlines, I visited a lot of French-speaking countries. But if you don't use French on a regular basis, you will forget it or not get it correctly, you know? And they're both very tight at top dead center. So I'm a little concerned, you know? Because right now it's at top dead center. Things are lined up, and yet it's very tight. So without a compression release, I'm worried it won't even start, you know? So I almost want to get the feeler gauges and do 7 on the exhaust and 5 1/1000ths on the intake, just to do it before I even put the valve seal on and the valve cover. So with the Kohler Courages, right, this is the valve cover, right? And one of the big issues they have is that underneath this mini valve cover, underneath this valve cover, there's like a spongy thing that absorbs oil. Oil gets in there no matter what. And part of the reason is because it has the cork type gasket, which always leaks unless it's not tight enough. If you put it really tight, it probably won't leak, but that's a common problem, you know what I mean? So I'm going to give this a try. If not, I'll put RTV silicone on it. But before that, I guess I'm going to have to... Because right now it's at top dead center. That's how you measure it, you know what I'm saying? And this is, while this might be okay, this seems really tight. I mean really tight. And you're supposed to be able to have at least 5 1/1000ths of air gap here and 7 1/1000ths air gap on the exhaust. So I'm going to get my feeler gauges out and see if I could do a valve adjustment right now, even before putting on the cover. My feeler gauge out, and this is actually 8 1/1000ths, right? I don't have the 7. The 7's not on here. So I just have to make sure that this is very tight. And it is. Yet the drag is still good. And then you tighten the inner torque bolt that's in there. Same thing with this one. I just did it. I do have the 5 1/1000ths. It goes right in between here. And it's good, you know. It's a little tight, but has good movement, and of course you tighten it here. The outer nut is tight. The outer nut is a 10 millimeter, which you have to use one of these things because you can barely fit a wrench in there, so it's kind of designed badly, you know. That's nice and tight, and it's at 5. So now it's a little loose than before. Before this thing was so tight, couldn't even move it. So hopefully that'll be it. Now I'm going to try to find some bolts to put the valve cover on. I'm going to clean up the surface a little bit to get the cork gasket on there. I'm going to try that. If it leaks, I'll put RTV silicone around it. I think it might be alright. I just need to find the valve cover bolts though. I don't know where they are. Nor do I even know what they look like actually. But we shall see. So I got the valve cover on, and now I'm going to put a light coating of blue RTV silicone gasket maker onto this part right here. As you can see from the cover, the gasket is 98% still on there. So I'm just going to put a small layer over it to pick up the gaps, you know, get it to seal better. And then we'll try to put the cover back on. So now I've got this blue silicone RTV all over there, right? I'm going to put some high-performance assembly lube, semi-synthetic, from my friends over at Lucas Oil Products. A little bit there, right along the gears. Synchro balancer connection here, the joints around the synchro balancer. My fingers coat the journal of the crankshaft for the oil seal. This stuff is very sticky, which is very helpful. You want it to be sticky so it stays there. You know, it doesn't drip away and then you gotta coat it again, whatever. So this stuff is some great stuff. I'm gonna put some also in the cover too. There's a cover. Just gonna dunk a bunch of drops into here, here, there. It's the governor gear right there. Just gonna coat a bunch in there, and then right there. Use my fingers to go around this area. And I'm just going to try to put it on right now. See how that goes there. Alright, so governor gear shaft is here. So it has to rest on there. So I have to do it that way, right? And then this goes up like that. This is kind of tricky, actually. So this goes on like this. Wow. Nope, that's not good. This has to be on top. Pull this back out. Got the governor shaft lever above now, so that'll be right. Cool.
this is up against the governor. Alright, looks good. I got it on there. No mallet or anything. Try to find some sump bolts now. I found some sump bolts, plenty of them actually. And while on the first Kohler Courage rebuild I did for the Desert Sand one, I actually used red Loctite. But today I'm not going to do it because I don't have high confidence that this will work, so I have a feeling I might have to take this apart again. If I use red Loctite, I'd never be able to get this cover back off again. So I'm just going to torque these down super tight, but I'm not going to put the Loctite on them. Remember, this is the block where I JB welded 2 big cracks, which is the reason why I don't think this will work. I mean, if it wasn't going to work, it wouldn't work on this. That's what I mean. I'm a little confused as to what this is. Oh, I see. The Stator, which I have to put on. Magneto, which I have to put on. Starter, which I have to put on. Throttle Bracket, which I have to put on. Carburetor spacer, intake manifold, muffler. I have to put a ton of stuff on here. But first I'm going to torque these sump bolts down. So this is the DeWalt impact I've been using. It actually, when you torque them all the way down to the end, it actually measures 200 foot-pounds, inch-pounds of torque, which is almost close to the 18.3 foot-pounds you would get with the Briggs. So it's very close to spec. Still moving. Slowing down. They're not moving as much as damn, you could torque these down. They're still kind of moving. Still moving. It won't stop moving. That's it. I mean, if these come loose, this is a terrible engine. Unbelievable. I could keep going and going and going. They'll still keep turning. But I think that's really tight already. Let me get the stator on there now. Slip the stator through here. Or is it that hole? I want to see if I have a better stator. I actually have a better stator that I saved from something else. This is almost new. I'm going to use this one instead. I have this one over here, which is better condition, right? But things cut, so I don't want to have to splice it. I guess I could, but less trouble if I just put this on. The reason why I'm not using this one is because if you look at it, it's got a lot of rust buildup here. I can scrape that off eventually if I wanted to reuse it again, I could. But since I have a better stator that's not being used, I'll use this one. After all, this is my own engine, right? That I'll probably use for something else. How about that for a change, huh? If I finish all my projects, I'll actually have, maybe if I'm successful in all 3 builds, I'd have 3 extra engines to put on lawn tractors. Believe it or not, I actually don't even have any lawn tractors. Can you believe that? I remember at one time I had like 8 tractors without engines, which is ridiculous. Stator's on there, and I have to connect the voltage regulator, which this square one doesn't look like it's it. This wiring harness came with it. It was in the box, I don't know, but this looks like the voltage regulator that I need to attach the 2 into there. These 2 wires. These 2 wires don't match up with this square one that I have here. This one is complete with the Magneto, with Kohler engines. The this Magneto kill wire is on top. Very unique to the different from the Briggs and Tecumseh's, where the Magneto kill tab is actually on the bottom. Kohler's on the top. Then I have to go find the flywheel, one that preferably has all its magnets, because I know I have one that has busted magnets. So I'm not going to tighten this right now because we have to do the air gap. I'm going to put the starter on too. Got to find the bolts to the starter. And also dipstick. Dipstick? Cletus, you dipstick!
Cletus, you know what you are? You're a dipstick. A 14-karat dipstick.
Here's the flywheel. Has all the magnets on there. And I know this is a Kohler because it says Kohler right there. Line up the keyway. The key was stuck in the magnets. Slip that in there like that. figure out how that goes. I forget. Got the flywheel on here. Put the blower fan on top. This round metal big spacer, then a washer, then the crankshaft bolt. I have to tighten that down. Putting a standard business card in between the magnet and the magneto. Pushing inward. Tightening the 5/16. Rotating to get the card back out again. So now it's air gapped. I'm not gonna lie, it's a little stiff turning it. But at least it turns and doesn't hang up on anything. It's a little stiff, I'm not gonna lie, which makes me nervous. But there's no Earl in it, you know? I feel compression. I don't know. This is made up of 3 different engines, you know what I mean? So I don't have high confidence this will work, but I'm just giving it a try, you know? It's a courage. I just didn't want to throw the parts away. If I could get this engine to turn, man, that would be... If I could get this engine to start, that would be amazing. Yep, it's got good compression, and that's all you need. Next is the starter. Here's a Kohler starter. Good metal ring gear. Made by Johnson Electric. Made in China. I think I want to remove this voltage regulator since I'm not using this one. Because, I mean, I could use it, but the wiring is a little different. So this one is obviously the power of the regulated DC going to the battery to recharge it. There's a yellow one, and there's a black one. The yellow and the black connect to these 2 whites? I don't know, you know? I don't want to short it. You have to be absolutely sure. So this regulator looks like it's what belongs on a Kohler, you know? This one looks more like a Briggs one. You know what I'm saying? Which I don't know why it is on a Kohler, you know? So these 2 things here just go into the pins like that. Oh, it's supposed to go in there like that. It's supposed to clip. No, it will go in there. Yeah, so that clips in there like that. See, that's what I'm familiar with, is that these 2 go into this module connector, and then it goes onto the voltage regulator. See that? So I feel more comfortable with this setup. This, I'll figure out how to mount that. And then it's the Magneto kill over here into the wiring harness of whatever I plug this into. I could figure it out then. These 2 here. One is probably the fuel solenoid. And the other one, maybe lights, I'm not sure. But that's that. Alright. This is outboard. Put it like this. Yeah. So that snaps into place like a puzzle. And this is energized. Go up there and put the gears. I don't know, I almost feel like there should be a washer, but these nuts have like a built-in washer on it. And if you could look at the imprint, right, it doesn't show a bigger circle, so there's no other washer in there. Let's look at the evidence. I believe it's 7/16. No, it's not. It's a Kohler, so it's got to be smaller, probably 10 millimeter. This is a 5/16, and it doesn't fit. Which means it is probably 10 millimeter. This is 10 millimeter, I think. That's on there. Alright, so we've got the starter, voltage regulator, Magneto wire kill is connected. Let's go somewhere else. I have to tighten that bolt down. I believe it's a 5/8. Then the bracket. Shaft bolt is 15 millimeter. That washer really went down there a lot. I'm wondering if that washer even belongs in there. Doesn't seem right to me. See, that washer shouldn't have bent that much. Maybe this doesn't belong there. Maybe straight in just like that. That feels better. Now the bracket. So I got the throttle bracket on here, but I think I'm going to have problems because I don't think I have the right linkage. And also I'm missing this rubber grommet that goes, it's a thing that holds the throttle linkage to the governor shaft, you know, the lever. You know, it's a little black thing that comes out and clips onto the linkage. I don't have that, so it's very loose on it. And this carburetor is a little hinky too, but like I said, I'm just putting this engine together because it needs to go together, right? And then when I run into a tractor that doesn't have an engine, that requires an engine, at least this is 98% complete, you know what I mean? So I might, like this choke flap doesn't seem to open all the way right, so I think I might need another carburetor. This plate here is a little hinky. I repaired it, but I don't think I repaired it all that good, you know. I think it's gonna leak, you know, whatever. And anyway, I'm just gonna try to put this engine together as complete as possible so that when I do have a need for an engine on a tractor, this is pretty much ready to go. All I'll need is like to dial it in a little bit, you know. I also have to reset the governor gear too, so you know, it still needs a bunch, but I'm gonna get the air cleaner base on there, air cleaner cover, the engine shroud all together, so that at least it's an engine that's ready to go with some dialing in. This air cleaner cover. Mailbag, one of my subscribers, Stephen Becker, he had some parts that he wanted to send me. He spent so much money on express mail overnighting it. I'm like to Stephen, really not necessary for sending it overnight. You spent a good amount of money here, man. I really appreciate it, but you could have sent it the slowest way to send it because I'm in no rush, you know. I mean, unless you got like Kohler parts in here. But I really appreciate it, man. I love it where all the subscribers donate their parts to the channel, because you know eventually I'll need it, you know? So thank you very much to everybody. And in this episode, thank you very much, Stephen Becker, for all these parts. Let's see what we got. Wow. Got some good stuff here, Steve. Holy cow. Tons of carburetor parts. Tecumseh, Walbro, Nickies. Just going to add this to my already decent collection of carburetors, man. Thank you very much. That's great. Oh, gaskets. Oh my God. Could this be a gasket for a Briggs & Stratton single overhead valve? I'm about to put one together tomorrow that I require one of these. It'd be incredible. I'm going to open this up later and check it out. Hey, hey, hey. Hey, hey, hey. Hey, hey. It's a LT1000 hydrostatic quadrant control panel, shifter control panel. Thank you. Gaskets, head gaskets, single overhead valve. Man, how is your timing like so perfect? You know what I'm saying? I might use this tomorrow for my rebuild. Thank you very much. Rotary pulleys, tension idler pulleys. I will tell you this, I don't know what this is. Wheel spacers? Wheel spacers, yep. Hubs. How do you know? I'm going to need this tomorrow for putting the sump together. Permatex Ultra Blue gasket maker. Brand new, thank you. Oh. Lower deck pulley brake. Some hose fuel lines for two-stroke machines, chainsaws, weed whackers, what have you, leaf blowers, spark plugs, gaskets, float, crank seal, fuel filters, springs, primer bulbs, hose clamps, C-clips, the entire gamut of parts. Another brake lever, idler pulley, intake manifold, single overhead valve, tensioner and idler pulley, some belts, John Deere belts, Briggs brand new Magneto. Man, you don't need these things? Gas cap, always need a gas cap, man. A bunch of other belts here, half-inch V-belts, Kevlar. Man, oh man. Great collection of parts, Stephen. Thank you very much, Stephen Becker, for sending me your excess parts. I'm gonna put all this stuff to good use someday in my future videos. Thank you very much for the contribution, and I really appreciate it. Engine shroud. Alright, that engine is together. I don't know if it works, but that's an engine. So, I just wanted to get an engine together, get it out of my garage. Tomorrow I'm going to be working on the Briggs single overhead valve. Put the sump cover on, and I believe I have to put a connecting rod on, as well as the push rods, the heads, and the rest of it. So I just want to get all the engines out of my garage until my next project. which I don't know when it is. But thanks for joining me on today's Kohler Courage rebuild, reassembly, push rods, bracket, engine shroud, valve covers, push rods, cam, sump cover, starter, stator, magneto, voltage regulator, air gap, valve adjustment, and reassembly of this engine. I think it might run, I'm not sure, but we're probably going to need another carburetor, carburetor spacer. You know, that area is just not good because I put that spacer together with silicone. You know, it's cracked. I'm missing a grommet for the linkage. I don't know if I have the right linkage. So this area over here needs a little bit of attention, but I think if once I get those things, eventually this engine should run. It feels a little stiff, but I'm not sure. But either way, I gotta get this together, get it out of my garage, and so we have a possible working engine when I need it. Thanks for joining me on today's brief episode. We'll see you guys next time on Mowers and Blowers.